Okay guys, I'm out here in my shop. This is going to be a blog video about ductwork, about the kind of ductwork that we use here in Louisiana. I get a lot of comments just about every time I do a change out video. Oh man, I can't believe y'all just have a box and flex runs. You know, every part of the country is different, guys. I know I see Zach, he runs a lot of round trunk with very short flex runs to each boot. I would love to be able to do things that way, but if I try to go to somebody's house that has a perfect flex ducting system and tell them, oh, well, flex duct's no good, we need to update you to a round trunk line or a square trunk line and then run short pieces of flex to each boot, I would lose every job that I go on simply because one of my competitors would come behind me and say, well, that guy's full of shit. There's nothing wrong with your flex ducting. Guys, flex ducting was designed for a reason. It was designed to be used. If you use flex ducting right and size it right, it works just fine. I mean, all the videos y'all see of me charging up units and stuff, when I have my superheat correct and my subcooling correct, you know, you have to have proper airflow to be able to charge a system like that. All those systems are ran on flex ducting. Now, a lot of those systems are ran on hard pipe, but not a trunk line. It's still just a plenum box with individual hard pipe runs. Now, when we flex duct a house over here, it's not all single runs. Sometimes we'll do a 10-8-8Y. You'll start off with a piece of 10-inch flex, go into a Y, and then Y off with 2/8 to catch a living room with two boots, or to catch two separate bedrooms, one with each 8-inch boot, or you'll do a 9-7-7, start off with a 9-inch and then catch 2 7s in a bedroom, you know, 2 separate bedrooms with each a 7. So it's not all single runs. But the point that I'm trying to make is that, you know, I know we all get bad comments, and it doesn't bother me. And they're not necessarily bad comments I'm getting, but I'm just tired of getting comments about the ducting here in Louisiana every time I do a change-out video. I'm sorry. That's just how it's done here, guys. I mean, and it works. I don't care what any of you guys say. I mean, it works. If it's done right. If I see some of it that's not done right, I will inform the customer, hey, you don't have, you know, your ducting is too small for this size system or this, that, or another. But flex ducting does work. Okay, it was invented for a reason. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go over just a few. I've got a 4-foot plenum here, which is pretty much what we use. It's standard, a 4-foot plenum designed to fit whatever piece of equipment you're using. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of pieces of sheet metal that we use here in Louisiana and how we do things. Okay, the first piece of sheet metal that we have here is a basic 4-foot supply plenum that's been cross broke, and it's insulated on the inside. It's linered. That's just how things are done here, because as you can see, this is my shop. It's a mess, but I do not have any sheet metal equipment. I am not a sheet metal man. I don't claim to be. I do know how to make, you know, certain things that I can make on a job site, but I do not make my own plenums or nothing, because I have a shop that does it for me cheaper than I can buy the material to do it myself. And this is one of his plenums that he made for me. Now, this is a 4-foot supply plenum designed to fit one of my carrier air handlers. It's linered on the inside. It's cross broke. It's a snap lock plenum. This particular guy does not use a Pittsburgh machine, which I'm not a fan of. This is a snap lock plenum. I'd much rather a Pittsburgh, but, you know, I'm not going to complain for the price. And it's got a knock-on head. So that is a standard plenum box here in Louisiana, and we will attach that to the unit. And then I use a hole cutter that hooks to my drill, and I will cut all my holes, you know, would be in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever I'm using. And I will install my taps, you know, which, well, you know, some people call them taps, some people call them starting collars, you know, whatever you want to use. I'll install my taps, and then Some things will be a single run to the boot or the box, whatever you want to call it. Some things are wide off, like I said earlier. So this is a basic 4-foot supply plenum that we use here. And I'll show you, so that's pretty much it for the supply plenum, and now we'll move on to the next piece. Okay, this here is a standard transition in Louisiana. We have, I'm not sure what size it is, I don't have a tape with me, but as you can see, it is bigger on this end than it is on this end. And it looks like it's about 18 inches long, maybe 20 inches long. And what this is, I probably had this made, or I might have even tore this off a job and threw it in here. This probably went from a gas furnace to a slab coil, or a gas furnace to a horizontal case coil. And, you know, that's pretty much how it's done here. I will have stuff like this made to go from a furnace to a slab coil, or a furnace to a case coil, unless the case coil dimensions are identical to what the furnace is, then I will just butt them up together. There's an example of a case coil. That's an ADP coil. And I have a couple train air handlers in here that I'm using for parts right now because they're still good. That's a variable speed train air handler. This air handler here, the customer just wanted it replaced. I suggested that we not replace it, but they insisted on it. The only thing wrong with this air handler, it's not variable speed or nothing. It's just a plain Jane air handler. It's a 4TEC 3-ton. It's a 3-ton 410A air handler, and it just needs an evaporator. The evaporator's leaking. Here's some flex duct. See, here's what I would call a tap, or a starting collar, if you will. You know, you'd cut your hole in your plenum here, and then install that just like so. And then I like to buy the Ductboard ones because I can screw it to the plenum. And then you'd fold these tabs inside and take off with your flex. And here's some, I got several bags of flex laying on the floor that I need to clean up and stack back up there. So there's a standard transition. Here we have a standard boot, or box, if you will. It is a 10 by 6 by 6, which means it's 10 inches this way, 6 inches this way. So it holds a 10 by 6 grill. So 10 by 6 by 6, meaning it holds a 10 by 6 grill, and it takes a 6-inch duct, okay, which is probably pretty much the same all across the country. It has tabs right here where I can screw it. It's linered inside. I don't know how well you guys can see that. See, there's some insulation. It's linered inside. Everything over here is linered inside. So that's a standard box or boot, if you will. Here we have a roll of Reflectix bubble wrap insulation that Ralph turned me on to. I think Zach uses it now too. What I carry that for is if I go do a change out and the homeowner cannot afford to replace the duct, even though I recommend it, and we got some hard pipe that some of the insulation is falling apart, I will rewrap it with the Reflectix. The Reflectix works really well. It's not itchy, and it's very costly effective. I do have some sheet metal there that's usually on my trailer in case I need to make a blank off or a small transition. I do know how to make stuff like that. And here we have the very hated, mostly around the world, Ductboard. This is a piece of Ductboard that I do keep in a trailer, and because there are a lot, if you go back in earlier in this video and you see the sheet metal 4-foot supply plenum, there are a lot of jobs where the 4-foot supply plenum is made out of this, which is Ductboard. Nothing but really, this is 1-inch insulation. I myself do not use ductboard plenums. So when if I change a plenum, it will be sheet metal. But there are some times where we do not change the plenum because the ductboard is in good shape, even though I'm not a fan of it. And we will reuse the ductboard. And sometimes the return box is ductboard and it's not quite big enough. So I will take this ductboard and again, make a transition from ductboard to ductboard to match up my unit. Now, I will never make a ductboard to sheet metal transition. That's something I will never do. But I do carry ductboard for that also. Okay, guys, we're off to seeing that. Hopefully, you catch a grasp of what things are like here. A lot of it is the same where you guys are. But what you guys need to keep in mind is that down here in Louisiana, everything moves slower, okay? We're not as up to date as everybody else. If you talk to anybody that's ever visited here from up north, they'll tell you that it's like a whole nother world down here. We're just different. That's how things are. My business consists of service and changeouts, okay? Which is what I like to do. I love service. I know Zach has taken his business in a different direction where he's going to try to concentrate on nothing but service. I do wish that I could do that, because if I could, I would. But I cannot give up changeouts right now, because I would probably go out of business. Because if I find a bad piece of equipment, the good thing about Louisiana is that people down here, most of them anyway, they do not play. They do not want a 18, 20 SEER system. They may just want a 13 or a 15 SEER, single stage, which is fine with me. But they will not play. You go over there and you tell them you got something bad and they trust you, they will change it. They will not play around. If they like you, they won't even get other quotes. They'll just tell you to do it. So when I walk up on a piece of equipment that's bad, I have to change it. And I don't mind doing that because I do enjoy doing changeouts. I do not enjoy doing new construction. I have done a little bit of it here since I started my own business almost 5 years ago. I've done a little bit of new construction, and I've done it because it was friends or family. I will not work for a builder. I refuse to work for a builder because builders want a $10,000 job for $3,000, and I'm just not going to do it. So I will not work for a builder. But if a homeowner calls me and I have the time, and it is a good customer, I will do new construction even though I do not enjoy it and I don't want to. Or a family member. Like I have 2 family members that are getting ready to build houses right now that I'm going to have to do because they're just not going to let anybody else do it. So I will do it. Even though I'm not crazy about it, I will do it. I don't mind doing it for my family. But that's how I take my business. My business is service and changeouts. I don't like to change ductwork, mainly because it's just me and a helper, and I have a 57-year-old father that has had a quadruple bypass, neck surgery, knee surgery, and that is physically not in the best health. So it's hard to do ductwork jobs like that job Zach just did, with the Bryant system, changing all that trunk and stuff by himself. Zach, I applaud you, man. That's awesome. I just would not take on something like that. That's just not what I'm after. I am after, I'll change a supply plenum and rehook up the taps. But as far as running new ductwork in a house, it's very far and in between that I will do something like that. I do have a job coming up where I have to do that, and the only reason that I'm doing it is because it's winter and I'm dead slow right now. So, my camera's fixing to go dead. I can see the little light flashing. I want to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all my subscribers and all my friends that I've made here on YouTube. And so I hope that will help some of the fellas that are always commenting about our ductwork here in Louisiana. Maybe this will help you understand why things are the way that they are. So thanks for watching, and we will see you guys on the next one.
something in that line. I'm thinking what you said.